What's going on, everybody? My name is Ben, and welcome back to another season of Ben Builds with Joe. That's right, Joe and I are back in action. We've selected another model kit, and, well, we're going to go ahead and push forward and see how we do. Now, our first season was a Japanese aircraft. We followed it up with a Russian Lagg 3, and then a Messerschmitt Bf-109E4. Today, though, we're going to go ahead and dive in on a different nationality altogether. We're going to go American. That's right, we have chosen the 1/48 scale Curtiss P-40B Warhawk. This is by Airfix, and I'm very excited to go ahead and see how this goes together. Now, I've only actually built one other Airfix kit. It was the Whitley bomber from the Bomber Command Buddy build that I did with Martin Lamont. So this is going to be my second adventure with Airfix, and this is actually going to be Joe's first. So it should be fun to see kind of how this goes together. On the inside of the box, we have one poly bag with all of our parts. We have one instruction booklet and one sheet of decals. So pretty standard for most kits that I've seen. Now, the nice thing about this one, though, is I've heard that these parts are supposed to be extremely nicely molded. And I've actually heard that the fit is not too bad either. Everything goes together reasonably well, and it's got a lot of detail. So this is going to be really, really fun to go ahead and dive on in and check out the parts. So I figured that's what we do today. Go ahead and dive into the poly bag, check out the parts, give you guys a close-up of some of the areas here and there, talk a little bit about my references, and the next episode will be back. Now, zooming in here on the parts and pieces, as you can see, these are some really nicely molded parts. All the panel lines are finely recessed. Plastic feels good. It's not brittle. It's not soft. It's right there when we want it to be. On the inside, we have a ton of detail. We have all these stringers and fuselage details, which are really nice to have. Unfortunately, there's some ejection pin marks, but that's okay. You're not really going to see them anyway. That is going to be hidden behind a very tiny little door for the radio compartment. And I'm not sure if I'd have that open or closed, but we'll see when we get there. Also, we do notice one injection marking here in the middle of the wheel wells. You'd think they'd be able to figure out how to inject plastic without having locating pins and ejection marks right in the middle of something that you're going to be able to see. But that's okay because we can swipe it off with some jeweler files maybe or something. We'll get it taken care of. It's just kind of annoying to see, Other details here on the parts, for example, like the radiators up here, those look really nice. They have some nice raised detail, so I'm pleased about that. Again, on the wings as well, we have very finely recessed panel lines. We do have a raised wing walk right here. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. I don't know much about the early P-40s, but we'll do some research as we go and we'll see what it is. Otherwise, though, it'll make it a snap to paint. That's for sure. Moving over to the bottom part of the wing, we have, again, very nicely molded in details, recessed panel lines, looking pretty sharp there. We do have an interesting design as we have to install the wing roots, which is unusual, but I'll run with it. And then on the control surfaces, they have very nicely molded in fabric detail. And most of the control surfaces on a P-40 would be fabric anyway, so that's great to see. The propeller looks fine. I don't have any issue with that other than they have kind of a large gate between the part and the sprue. We'll have to go ahead and sand it down, but it's not beyond us. We can manage it. All the other parts look fantastic, I have to say. Very cool. Though I did notice that we have a complete aileron, both top and bottom of the ailerons on the wings. They're molded in, so I'm not sure why they have that happen. Moving over to the cockpit details, guys, we have a lot of parts and pieces here, and most of it is very finely molded. We can get a close-up here of the instrument panel. As you can see, a lot of details, a lot of gauges. That's going to be really fun to go ahead and paint. Not sure how exactly to do that, but we're going to have fun with that. All the sidewall details as well. We do have a lot of injection marks here on the different boxes and gauges on the sidewalls. That's a little bit annoying, but it shouldn't be too hard to go ahead and fix and fill it, sand it down. I'm not sure if they're painted or if we have decals. We do actually have two different seats. We have a squared off back seat and we have a rounded back here. So I'm not sure which one is going to be applicable for our version, but we do have two different seats, which is really helpful. Also, we have a curved cockpit floor. And as far as I can tell from my research, this is very legit. Early P-40s had curved cockpit floors, so Airfix was able to represent that here, and I'm pretty happy to see that little detail. Now, this kit does come with both folded and deployed landing gears, so we have two different sets of wheels, one for each. At least that's what I'm assuming. We again have weighted tires, which is really nice. I like seeing that. And then we have everything else just to be tucked up inside if we plan on building this kind of like an in-flight demo. I don't plan on doing that. I do want to go ahead and have the landing gears deployed, but it's nice to have the options. Now, speaking of options, we are also given long-barreled and short-barreled guns, which is really cool. Though I guess they could have just given you long-barreled and told you where to cut to make the short-barreled. But again, it's nice to know we have options. Though I won't be using him, we are given a pilot, and that is kind of cool to see. It's actually pretty well molded, to be honest. The decal sheet itself is absolutely beautiful. There's not a lot of markings for either one of these aircraft. We have some stencils. We have, of course, markings for the AVG version, as well as, of course, the U.S. Army version that would have been at Pearl Harbor. I'm kind of leaning more towards the Pearl Harbor version. I know Joe has mentioned that as well, that he is looking at that one. So that should be fun to do, but we do have some really nice decals for the other version if we so choose. Now, I actually have a very limited experience with Airfix kits, so this is actually my second version, but I can already tell that they really put a lot of effort into their instruction manuals, and I really appreciate that. As you can see here, we've got all the parts and pieces, the sub-assemblies, very well laid out, very clean. We show different new assemblies in slightly different colors. We got the color callouts, we got everything we need to go ahead and build up a very decent looking P-40, so I'm excited about that. On the other side, we of course have all the details and the sub-assemblies for the cockpit and for the front nose and all of that. So it looks to go together in a very decent, very matter-of-fact way. I don't see anything really standing out that's going to cause much of a problem. The wings themselves as well, we have the front nose inserts for the guns. That I've actually heard from a good buddy of mine over on Instagram. My buddy Duncan actually said that the nose gun fairings can be a little bit wonky here and there, so we want to be really careful when cutting those out. So thanks Duncan for that little tip. But I think overall this is going to be a really fun build to make. Now again, we have two different versions we can paint. One is the Pearl Harbor version right here. We also have the AVG version here. That would be a really fun version to build, but you have to be very precise about the camouflage patterns, and I'm kind of interested in focusing more on the monochromatic finishes. Now, of course, it wouldn't be much of a model build without some references, and for me, I have only one book. I have the P-40 Warhawk book here by Detail and Scale, and this is on the early Warhawk family. So it starts off on the P-36, and goes up through the P-40C. Now, you might have seen this book previously when I was building my Academy P-36. I did use this book extensively to rebuild the wheel wells and to go ahead and add in some extra details. Now, I shouldn't have to do much of that here with the Airfix kit. It looks like there's enough detail to really go ahead and get this thing looking right. But it will give me some insight into coloring, wiring, or something if I want to add in some brake lines. But this book should really come in handy for giving me a lot of basic information and also giving me some detailed images of different parts and pieces. So that's super, super helpful. And again, my choice of doing the P-40B from Pearl Harbor is really just more or less because I like the color scheme. It's very simplistic, has that OD green over that neutral gray. And even though that can be sometimes kind of limiting, I really want to try to work on color modulation and just trying new things and just having a blast with it, you know? That's the whole point, is just to have fun. One thing I will notice though, I do have to applaud Airfix for the addition of different details. For example, a lot of P-40s had canvas wheel bay covers. So you can see it right here. This is represented in the kit, which is really, really nice. Unfortunately though, the kit piece does have a very large injection marking right there in the middle. So we're going to have to go ahead and take care of that. And that's pretty much our only reference that we have. We just have this P-40 Warhawk book by Detail and Scale. I think that's going to be good enough. I don't think we need much more. So that is our subject for Ben Builds with Joe season number 4, the 1/48 scale Airfix Curtis P-40B Warhawk. And I got to tell you, like Joe, I am super excited to go ahead and dive in on this kit and just see what we can do. Got my Detail and Scale book ready to go, so we're going to go ahead and call it quits for today. We'll see you back here on the next episode of Ben Builds with Joe. Until then, you know the drill. Go out there, get yourself some bench time, have some fun, build something cool. Make sure to stop on by Joe's channel, give him a like, check out his videos, and we will see you all back here on the next episode of Ben Builds with Joe. Thanks so much, everybody. We will see you soon.